So, good morning everyone. Today I'd like to ask you to join in with a project which we've been working on jointly for many years. One of the greatest, you can call him, Torah philosophers and psychologists of recent times was the late Rav Dessler, who was a fantastic mashgiach of Panovich Yeshiva in his later years. Beforehand he founded the Gates at Koil, and he, throughout his life, gave talks and also to some extent produced in note form many deeper expositions of a comprehensive nature of the Pnimiut HaTorah, the inner aspect of the Torah, taking as his sources I'd say a most comprehensive approach, including Chassidus, including Musa, including the masters of Jewish thought of all generations, including the Kabbalah. And we had the great privilege in the Yeshiva of Yerushalayim, and even beforehand, I personally, I would say I was first really introduced to the deep aspects of Musa when, at the young age of 16, 17, I used to travel specially to the home of the late Rav Aryeh Carmel, who was his main disciple, where he gave a discourse based upon the notes of Rav Dessler, who was his private teacher even before the World War. And since those early days, I had constant connection with him in all Kiruv activities which I was engaged with in England. He was a partner in many things, many projects. When we started at Yerushalayim, he also became a partner in the Yerushalayim and gave daily shiurim on the basis of Lichter B'Eliyahu, which had meanwhile been edited apart from himself, together with other close disciples of Rav Dessler. And he was able to paraphrase many of his teachings in the series called Strive for Truth, which had a great influence not only on the Torah world, but also on the not yet religious world, becoming religious and understanding the deeper aspects of the inner inspiration of every aspect of Torah learning and fulfillment of mitzvot. And during his life he was able to even publish his basic teachings from the first 3 volumes of Lichter B'Eliyahu. And then when he unfortunately passed away after his death, I've continued, together with some of the students, to produce tapes as well as printouts. Some of the students participated in deeper teachings, and we've covered throughout the years the 4th section as well as the majority of the 5th section, the 5th book of the Hebrew Lichter B'Eliyahu, including also some of the later productions. So today I want to start just to give you an idea of the depth. 5th Chelek of Lichter B'Eliyahu, page 455, which deals with the subject of Shchitat HaSatan. There is phrases hinted at in the Tanakh. The time will come when Satan will be slaughtered. So first let me just explain what this implies. Who is Satan? Satan is mentioned in book of Job or Eob, also in other places in the Tanakh. And the literal translation of Satan is an obstacle. That's how it's used in the Chumash. In the Chumash itself, when Bilam went to curse the people, so his Shias became a Satan, became an obstacle to stop him. And the word Satan is used a few times in the Tanakh in that sense of an obstacle. And maybe the concept of Satan as the power of evil which exists in the world, as that's how the term Satan has become, it's a national word, meaning powers of evil. It's also connected with the stot min haderet, to go away from the right path. It means it's an obstacle to following the right path. And maybe it teaches us the approach to life. The sages say the Satan is the same as the evil inclination, the same as the angel of death. I'd like to compare this a little bit, for some of you have probably read some modern writings concerning the different instincts of mankind. So Freud, who was a big expert on the power of the Yetzer Hara, the only mistake he made was that he thought the people are bound to the Yetzer Hara and can't escape it. They can't avoid the complexes. He did not know so much about the Yetzer Hara at all. He didn't investigate sufficiently the power of the good inclination. But the power of the evil inclination, that he knew about. Its different facets. He said that we have, following Greek concepts, it's both Eros and Thanatos. Eros is the power of love, the libido. Thanatos is the power of death. It says life is governed, if you go to the basic instincts, by the subconscious awareness that everybody has of the libido. He has it consciously as well, but certainly has it subconsciously. You can't get away from the love-life instinct. And to be productive in many different, and reproductive, physically and also emotionally, entering into all areas of life. At the same time, there's a subconscious power in each person, thanatos, of death, because subconsciously knows that his life here is limited. In fact, the concept of death brings many people to say, carpe diem. That means, nochal v'nishte ki machar namut. Carpe diem is it's a Latin phrase. But the phrase from the Tanakh is, let us eat and drink and have fun, because tomorrow we're going to die. So therefore, the main thing in life, throw yourself in the pursuit of pleasure, whilst you've got the chance. If you have to pay later, okay, never mind about payment, just go and enjoy yourself. Because we're going to die tomorrow. And the concept of death tomorrow is there subconsciously. We all know that the biggest fact of life is the fact of death. The whole of life is a journey from the cradle to the grave. So, there are different ways of taking it. We're given instructions constantly, both in the Tanakh, in the words of the sages, know where you come from, know where you're going to go to, recognize you come from next to nothing, the petric drop, and where you're going to go to, the place of afar, tolear, of the dust, of the grave. And you should also know in front of whom you're going to give a reckoning. You have to give a reckoning, you have no choice. What did you do with the life that I gave you? And although modern psychology, Freudians and Adlerians, most of them, they're quite aware of the fact of where you come from, where you're going to go to, but they're not sufficiently conscious of the fact that there is a judge, there is a creator, and you're going to have to give him and a counter-threatening. Your inner self, your ego, that is active all the time, that can see everything, but is not seen. Because with the ego you act. What do you do with your ego? How much did your inner ego, which is ultimately the divine image which Hashem has given a human being, how much did that use all the fantastic gifts which Hashem gave you for the good? So the sages say, you should know, Hu HaSatan, Hu HaYetzara, or Malach HaMavet. Malach HaMavet is the instinct for death. The instinct for death, the instinct that everything material in the world, it's going to reach its prime, this is going to decay and die. So this is a basic principle of the angels, the inner power of death, which clouds every aspect of life. Depends how you react to it. That's the Malach HaMavet. And the Yetzer Hara is the individual power that is an instinct to do evil, to just follow your own selfish interests, to pursue your own personal power or your own personal pleasure. Never mind anything else in the world. That is the Yetzer Hara. And that is also the, a Satan. The Satan is the power of evil, the obstacle race. That there's powers of evil constantly, but the purpose of the evil is to transform this life from just a smooth path to become an obstacle race. So I'm going to give a parable for this, the word Satan, from what I know from my son Abraham, who was in the American Army as a chaplain. But my son always liked, continues to like and enjoy challenges, facing challenges. Somebody knows no one to get the prize, the Israel prize, top prize, to the knowledge of the Tanakh, the Bible quiz. So we got second place in America last year, but he was allowed to come here, and you see, he wants to try it again this year. In any case, he can get a free ticket. He likes facing challenges. Now, when he went to the army also, to be a chaplain, you don't have parachutists, but he decided he wants to be with the soldiers to help them. You know, it's very interesting, the American Army chaplains, they don't go around with any weapons, no? But they're to be accompanied by people who will protect them, whatever they're doing. So he thought he can, because he had so many soldiers who were very frightened to jump and so on. So I think he jumped 52 times, it's a big record. Just when he was here 2 weeks ago, it happened to be somewhere. Israeli, he'd been also a pilot, he'd been jumping. He's jumped 52 times, that's considered a high record. And he also, what did he do? In the army, they give him pretty stiff training. So he took the training in the army. There's also what's called a ranger's course. A ranger's course is so stiff that you overcome so many obstacles. So I went in for that as well. So I want to say, life is an obstacle race. And the greater a person is, you should know, the greater will be the obstacles. If you've got this, they only allow a person to enter such a course if he's already passed the previous course. The same as in any area of life. How would you reach the top? You've got to have exercise, you've got to work solidly to use all your talents Hashem has given you, make the latent talents patent, bring them out into the open, and make sure that you develop them in the best possible manner. But the way of the Torah is, all these talents will be given to you, which can easily become materialistic powers, and if you don't look further than the materialistic abilities, it will destroy you. It's destroyed many people. A person only interested in having as much power to become the biggest champion possible. It's not going to use productively. So I want to give you an example even to show what's going around here in Israel. and he's published his biography, so it's all right to speak about it. But I got to know here, some of you may have heard of him, it's also put his books around here as well, called Raphael Halper. Raphael Halper, his father, was the founder of the most religious area in Blevera. He was a disciple of the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish was the greatest scholar in the previous generation. And his father worked with him to develop the Blevera Torah community. And he was a youngster, and he also learned there in Yeshiva and so on. At the same time, he was filled with sport-like energy. And as a boy also, he wanted to go in all sorts of exercises. He became an expert in karate, wrestling, boxing, until he discussed everything also with the Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish saw this person who's got to work with him to give him an outlet for his enormous energies. And so the other sons, his brothers and sisters, they went to learn, they entered the regular Haredi lifestyle, going to Koilel, coming, this Yaakov going. But he felt he's got to use the energy. So he made up with him, he's going to learn every day. Before he takes any match, boxing match, or wrestling match, he's going to take the Hillim. And he went through with it. And he became the world champion. The world champion, the full Alpen, in boxing, in wrestling, in karate. Yeah. What's the highest belt? What is it?
Black belt.
One?
Black.
Yeah, of course they had a black belt. Yeah.
7th.
Listen what happened to him. It's fantastic to know what happened. He learned the art of concentration. That's the only way we could get to that top. He exercised himself in such a manner that he was an expert in concentrating and putting something through with enormous energy. So then he decided he's had enough of this, got married, settled down. At the same time, he started Kibbutz, because he saw that there's so many youngsters all over Israel who are big sport fans. So he used to give them talks. He doesn't give them talks, he gave them demonstrations also. You know, he could break through a wall with his fist. I mean, he gave illustrations, he showed videos of how he reached the top. At the same time, he told them, now, you youngsters, you're into sport is your craze, that's what you're really interested in. If you'd like to become or you'd follow the big sport champions, I'm telling you there's something greater, that's learning Torah. What did he do? He went into the yeshiva, into the kollel, and he was able to learn for 10 hours solid without a stop, concentrating, going over all his learning. At the same time, he produced many sfarim. He produced an atlas of the whole of the oral tradition, which we've got here in many volumes, going right to the origin, the oral tradition, showing how teacher and pupil went on from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu until today. Then he produced the Torah Encyclopedia. The reason why the Torah Encyclopedia illustration is you won't find much of it left here because people just use it and they use it too much. But that Torah Encyclopedia he produced. He produced all about Rashi. It's for him on Rashi. One sefer after another came out on top level. And at the same time, he conducted a business which was dedicated to charity. So he used his Yetzer Hara in order then to learn how Hashem gave me so much energy, then he used it for Torah. He also became a great Torah supporter through the money that he was able to make also with his big energy. And at the same time, he was an example how you can use the Yetzer Hara for good things. So now we come to Shechitat HaSatan. Satan is the obstacles in life. By overcoming the obstacles in life, the person grows. And if instead of that we laid back and we'll say, well, I can't deal with all these things. But most of them are very laid back. We go through life, armchair type of life. Like we vegetate. The person begins to vegetate in later age, then his mind also becomes less active. The only way you can become creative if you don't allow yourself to fall asleep. You don't allow yourself to not rest on your laurels, but you think, look what I've achieved. No, you've got to use whatever Hashem gave you to the maximum. That will be a judgment. The judgment in front of Hashem is, what did you do? I gave you this quality, that. Each one that you learned the previous year, each one's different qualities. And you never know what your latent qualities are till you've exercised. You've got to try out. If you see you're not successful in one area, then try another area. That's why the sages say you've got to learn and choose those aspects of Torah, and everyone can find some aspect of Torah, because the Torah is immense in its power of going into all different types of characteristics of human beings. If you will investigate what you're able to do, give it a trial and error. If you're not successful, try in a different direction. Then you'll see, that's how you can grow. So that's the concept of speaking of Satan. So I just carry on. The first line he brings here is from the following. Yatid lavo, in the future, what will Hashem do with the Yetzer Hara? He will take the evil inclination, he will slaughter it in front of the saints and in front of the sinners. The saints will say, how was I able to come to go to the top of this mountain? To them, the evil inclination is like a Mount Everest. They say, I can never climb to the top and stay alive. I can't do it. No way. So how was I able to overcome my Yetzer Hara, which is like a Mount Everest, and see I managed to reach the top? It's not possible. Because they see, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows he has actually slaughtered the Yetzer Hara, the Satan. For the Rashaim, the evil inclination will seem like a hair's breadth. It's a hair's breadth. That's why they'll say to themselves, what, I wasn't able to control that instinct, it's so easy. So, Halal Bochen, both of them cry. The saints cry and they say, how were we ever able to conquer this enormously high mountain? And the wicked will say, why were we not able throughout our lives to control this simple temptation, which so can just go like a hair's breadth? Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will also wonder with them, with both of them, about this situation. Okay, this is the opening, but of course, it's difficult to understand what this means. So what's the explanation? He says like this, Be'emet, what's the difference between Gehinnom and Gan Eden? So I want to ask you this, what's the origin of the word Gehinnom? In the English you call it hell, but what in Hebrew you call it Gehinnom. What's Gehinnom mean?
The valley of Gehinnom, that's by the old city, you go down, that's Gehinnom. It was owned by Gehinnom.
And why is that called, but when the word Gehinnom is used in the words of the oral tradition of the sages until today in Hebrew, we don't refer to a physical valley. What do we refer to? What people what English-speaking people call hell. Yeah? All right, there's a hell on earth, but when we speak of hell on earth, it also don't mean a particular stop. It just means a particular place. Hell on earth means all the enormous troubles individuals or nations or groups have here on this earth. So it's the place of suffering, the place of pain, the place of terror. That's hell. That's Gehinnom. What is the word Gehinnom? What's it got to do with this valley?
It used to be a valley of Moloch worship.
Yeah.
It used to worship the children or sacrifice children.
In other words, this we'll find in the Hebrew language emotional and non-material experiences and descriptions. They're generally tied to something more concrete. as a symbol of it. So therefore, the symbol in the ancient world of the worst form of corruption was Moloch worship. That's how it's described in the Chumash. Chumash, it says, this Pasha Kadoshim, which tells you how to reach holiness, and tells you, I'm sending you into this land of Canaan, which is the most unholy place in the world, where the people murder for no reason, innocent people. People worship idols with all forms of sexual perversion that you can imagine. And the worst of all is Moloch worship. Well, Moloch worship was the way in which parents willingly gave over their children to enter into the mouth of the Moloch god. There was a fiery furnace, and according to many interpretations, they threw the children there to their death, to be burnt, to appease their gods of death, to appease them, that the others would be able to live. That was Moloch worship. And that was the worst thing. So you look what it says. I'm going to put my face against anyone who supports Moloch worship. It's the worst form of a combination of murder, of killing children, your own children, and thinking you're doing something good by it. You can connect it also with sexual perversions. It's the lowest lifestyle on a level that is lower than all the beasts of prey that abound on this earth. So it's a combination of all the worst things. So therefore, Am Yisrael warned, and that's Gei Ben Hinnom. That's in the valley. What's Gan Eden?
Heaven.
Paradise.
So
Heaven is
Gan
a place on
Eden,
earth.
yeah. And which is the place of Gan Eden on earth today? Is there such a place?
Yes, Ein Gedi.
Ein Gedi, never
Mauritius.
called Gan Eden. Yeah.
The Bahamas.
Hon?
The Bahamas?
I'll tell you something. It's right next to Gehinnom.
Ah,
the real
the
place of Gan Eden.
The Kotel.
Not the Kotel, you know.
Mount Zion.
Yeah, to some extent, Mount Zion. Yeah. In fact, when I came to Israel first, of course, we were locked off from the Jordanians. The Jordanians had the old city. And the closest you come to the old city was on the top of Har Zion. And there used to be a cable to go from Gehinnom, Gei Ben Hinnom, from the bottom. It's pretty steep. You go all the way up Har Zion. There was a cable rail.
There still
The
is.
cable rail it's still around, but it's not in use.
It's not working, but they want to work it. They think they can get rid of a lot of traffic by
Yes.
putting that into
Of course
place.
they will. Of course they will. In those times, there was the only way. If you wanted to see the old city, you could go to the top and see. You know, you face also the Jordanian soldiers, you know, with their guns. But you know, when there was armistice and peace, people risked it. And when I was a bolster, I went up there and was able from there to see the rest of the old city. Couldn't get to the Kotel, but you could see it. So it's like this. Gan Eden, it says in the prophets that in the time of the Mashiach, Eretz Yisrael will become Gan Eden. The Avodah of Gan Eden says that the deserts of the land of Israel will be transformed into the Garden of Eden. That's a mashal. But if you look at it more deeply, Gan Eden is a different type of existence. That's how it's a simple description. If you look at the first passages of the Chumash, the type of existence we don't have today, but it's a type of existence where Hashem speaks with human beings. He was able to speak to Adam and Chava. So therefore, the place where Hashem speaks, that's the continuation of Gan Eden, where Hashem speaks to man. And that's what's going to happen, Yitzhak Hashem. And where does it happen? Beit HaMikdash. Where was the continuation of Har Sinai? Har Sinai continued in the sanctuary, which was mobile, and the sanctuary was mobile until it came to rest on Har Moriah. And Har Moriah, the place where Hashem spoke to Avraham Avinu, and where Hashem also says that's where he appears, that is the source of Gan Eden, the source of the Shekhinah. And that's right next to Gehinnom. That's it. So here he says like this, to understand this passage about the Shechit of the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, there's no division between Gehinnom and Gan Eden. It's Kachut Asara, just like a hair's breadth. And so, right, you can get right, it's going to be, when you can go where the rail, the cable rail, from the bottom to the top, in the hair's breadth you can go from Gehinnom to the place where the Beit HaMikdash is standing. So it's just one next to the other. Why? Because we should know Gan Eden and Gehinnom, what does it depend on? What does everything depend on?
It's on us.
On what?
On ourselves.
Depends on our freedom of choice. You can have Gehinnom, you can have Gan Eden. You choose one or the other. Today I have to stop short, so I've just got time for a comment and a question, please. If anybody wants to make a comment or a question?
How does one know if they're in their own Gehenna or they're in their own Gan Eden? Because one person's Gan Eden is another person's Gehenna, and another person's Gehenna is another person's Gan Eden. How do we determine? We talked about yesterday. What is absolute truth? What is the truth in our bodies?
Well, you can only find out the truth in yourself if you study the truth of the Torah. Through the Torah, you can find out where you hold it. If you apply the Torah to your own self. Just add to this, I think this is attributed to Shol Salantes. So what's the difference between a person learning any part of the Torah, Tanakh, and Mishnayos, Halacha, Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos, whatever he's learning, and the learning of Musa? What's the difference? So he said the difference is that the true text when you're learning Musa is your own self. You have to study your own self in the light of what the Torah says. And then because you find out within yourself what is the path of Gehenna, what's the path of Gan Eden. But it means you've got to apply to your own individuality. That's the essence of it. It's true there are many very great saints who didn't study the specific Musa Sefer every day. Didn't take also, two halachot, the big experts in halacha, everything else. Why? Because all the time they applied the Torah to themselves. There can be a person who goes through the books of Moshe Chaim Luzzatto and the books of Prophet HaLevavot, all the great ethical works, and he goes through all of them, but his behavior remains the same. So it's not really learning Musa, he's learning just the text of the Musa, but he's not learning the true text, which should be the Musa, which is the own self. Go and find out where you're holding. That's the essence of Musa. That's why the introduction of Mesilat Yesharim is a person's duty in life is to know what is his duty in his world, not in the world, in his own world. What is my duty in my world at the moment? That's the essence of Musa. And that way you'll find Gan Eden.